Hello guys, welcome to my video. So this is going to be a little story time to chat with me about like my experience with my roommates. I feel like story times are so 2016, but I thought this would be a really interesting video to film and share my experience living with other people. I've never really been much of a fan of living with other people to begin with. For the past like 3-4 years I've been wanting my own place, and it just hasn't really worked out, and I'm gonna explain that in this video. And currently I am staying with my parents right now. I'm living back with my parents, and if you saw my moving vlog, you know that was not originally the plan either. But yeah, so I'm just get started with this video. Before I begin though, I do want to say as a little disclaimer, I did not make this video to talk negatively about anyone or to speak down on anyone. This video is simply to state my experience and the truth of what I experienced, and that's all. Not to hurt anybody's feelings. If it does hurt anyone's feelings, I'm just sharing my experience. So yeah, let's get into it. So my first apartment that I lived in, actually that was a mess in of itself. So I never wanted to live in that apartment. Never ever wanted to live in that apartment. I was supposed to live with 2 friends that I made my freshman year of college, and it just didn't work out. There was a mix-up in paperwork, and overall, a part of that aspect, it was okay, because after like a year, I wasn't really friends with them anymore. And I mean, there was nothing negative there. We just simply grew apart, stopped communicating with each other, we just stopped seeing each other, and different classes, different path, that's just the way it worked out. And it was easier for me to just stay in that apartment that I didn't really love rather than moving, because I had already gotten settled, and like financially, after a while, it was just the best choice just to stay. Do you guys like my water bottle? I'm like obsessed with it. I got it in my last vlog. I love it. I've been using it like every day since. So the first year that I lived there, I'm gonna separate this video into 3 parts. So part 1, part 2, and part 3. So this is part 1. Part 1 is like a double whammy, because it was just a double hitter. 2 people that I just didn't get along with. And I'm not trying to play the victim here, but it wasn't my fault, like in either situation. In none of these situations, it was on me. And if it is, I will let y'all know I did something wrong. But for the majority, it was not me. And I know y'all are gonna be like, okay, this is one-sided. But listen to everything that happened. Okay, so let's say roommate A, because y'all, I'm not sharing no names. Roommate A, she smoked weed, and she did it inside the house. Like, she didn't even go to the patio or anything. Like, she did it inside of the apartment. She did it in her room, but it didn't matter because it spread all over the apartment. Like, I was like so self-conscious, like whether it was on my clothes, whether like I would go out in public and you could smell it on me, like at church, whatever. Like, I felt terrible about it, and like I was kind of embarrassed or hesitant to even invite my friends over, because I'm like, what if like they can walk in and smell it, and like it's not me, like I'm not doing it. So yeah, and it literally got bad, so bad that one night I was like sleeping, like I think yeah, it was a weeknight. Like I had a class that day, I was sleeping, and I had class the next day, and I was laying in bed about to fall asleep, and I could smell it like in my room. My door was closed, her door was closed, and I could smell it in my room. It wasn't a huge apartment, but it was a 4-bedroom apartment, and I was the first room when you walked in. She was one of the rooms in the back by the corner. Like I said, it wasn't a huge apartment, but still. So I could smell it in my room, and like it got to the point where it was like so bad, like I couldn't breathe. Like my room was filling up with the smell of with smoke, with the smell of weed. It was terrible. And I did tell her about it multiple times, to the point where she got annoyed, but I don't care, because when it's that bad, yeah, I'm gonna let you know. And it wasn't just me. The other, so yes, it was a 4-bedroom apartment, 4 girls lived there. The other 2 girls were also like, did not agree with it. Like they didn't mind that she smoked, but they thought it was excessive, to the point where it was filling up the apartment. And like I have like Bath and Body Works wallflower plugins, and I'm a neat freak. I like to clean, I like to be organized, all those things. And so I put a wallflower in the living room, like in the middle of the apartment. She would take that wallflower when she's about to smoke, or really anytime, because she would smoke all throughout the day. She took that wallflower and put it in the plug right next to her door. That's not what I bought that for. I mean, it might have been at the time, now that I'm thinking about it. Like, yeah, I probably bought it because the apartment smelled like weed, but I did not buy it for her. I bought it, it's mine. She needs to deal with her own problems. She needs to buy her own stuff. Like, so she would take my wallflower, put it by her door, and I was like, no. And I would always move it back. And she got annoyed with me. Like I said, I would like text her about it, tell her about it, talk to her about it. She got annoyed with me. Like she would call me a goody goody, all this stuff. I didn't follow her on Snapchat. I no longer have a Snapchat, but back then I did. And I didn't follow her, but the other 2 roommates did. They would show me stuff that she would say about me, like saying that she's a goody goody. Like one time I saw this post saying that she's having a bad day and that she doesn't feel good, and she called me goody goody, like she's having a bad day, and I'm like nagging on her. I was like, okay, well, fix the issue. Like, you know, like it's very simple. You're sharing a living space with someone. Be accommodating. And this is back when I was like 19 years old. I think she was the oldest, but still, it doesn't matter. And so roommate B, we just simply never got along. Not never got along, but we just didn't become friends. We just always stayed acquaintances. We just simply roommates. Like, you know, we just never clicked. And yeah, she just didn't like me. She was just rude to me. And the 3rd girl that I lived with, she was really sweet, really nice. Got along with her just fine. Like we weren't like close or like buddy or anything, but like, you know, we had like movie nights sometimes. Like she's super sweet, really nice. At this time I didn't have a car, and like, so like if I ever need anything like quick or just needed a ride or something, like she would give me a ride. For the most part, like I made do without a car. I didn't like, I'm saying this because like I didn't rely on her for that, but like I knew that she would do that for me, or if I needed anything, like, and I wouldn't ask, like overly ask. Just trying to give you a sense of like what kind of person she is. Really sweet, really nice. So one night I'm in my room just staying to myself, you know, and roommate B and the other girl, super sweet, they're having some friends over, there's a little bit of music, talking, whatever. It wasn't a party, but you know, there was noise. And it was either a Friday night or a Saturday night. I personally didn't care. Like I said, I was in my room, I stayed to myself, and I was like in bed, but I wasn't like sleeping. Like I said, I was just to myself. And the next morning, I'm just gonna say roommate C, she had sent me a text saying that I'm sorry if we were loud or anything, like, or bothered you, you know. She was like, didn't mean to like bother you. I forgot what the text said, but something like that, just acknowledging the fact that they were loud, and she apologized. And she didn't need to do that. Like, I really didn't mind. Like I said, it was the weekend, I had nothing else to do. I was just in my room by myself, just chilling. And if I did for some reason or another had to wake up early, like, I would have said something, but I didn't say anything to them. I didn't complain about the volume, I didn't complain about the people, nothing. But she sent that text anyways, which I thought was really sweet and considering. So like later on that morning or whatever, it was just me and roommate B at home, the one that was rude to me. And I told roommate B, I was like, oh, roommate C is so sweet, so nice. She sent me a text or whatever, and it was just sweet. She's such a sweet person. And roommate B was like, well, it was the weekend, so she didn't have to do that. Like, she didn't have to send that text. And if you were bothered by the noise, it's the weekend anyway, so it doesn't matter. And like, I was literally just complimenting roommate C. Like, that's all. Like, that is, like, I wasn't complaining anything. Like, I wasn't fishing for roommate B to like apologize, nothing like that. I was just complimenting roommate C. And roommate B got such an attitude so quickly, and I was shocked. I don't know if she could see it in my face, but I was shocked. And I just walked away from that conversation and went in my room, because I was like, what? Like, she took that the wrong way, 100%. And later on, I told roommate C about that, because roommate B and roommate C are friends. Actually, they're like best friends now. And I no longer talk to like any of these people, but I know they're best friends or whatever. And yeah, and I told roommate C about it, and she was like, yeah, she can be kind of like that sometimes. She's just really headstrong or whatever. I don't exactly remember what she said, but she was like, just don't take it personally, you know, just let it go, or whatever. But yeah, I thought that was, like I said, she was just rude to me for no reason. I will say this one instance though, with roommate B, that was my fault. Like I said, if anything is my fault, I will own up to it. So one day I was cooking, or I had just finished cooking, something like that. And at the time, I didn't have any dishes, because when we moved in, like, I started a group chat or whatever, and I was like, you know, saying that we could like, suggested that we could like pitch in on stuff. Roommate A, the one that smoked weed, didn't pitch in at all. She had her own situation set up, whatever, it's fine. Roommate C agreed to it. Roommate B, I don't think she responded to the text. I don't think roommate A or B responded to the text, but like I said, roommate C, the really sweet girl, she responded. So, and the reason why I suggested this, because it's 4 people living in one apartment, and there was only, I think, 3 or 4 cabinets in that apartment. Like, the kitchen was super small, the fridge super small. Oh, speaking of the fridge, something else that roommate A did, the one who smoked weed, I feel like I should put like a table of context on the screen or something. And this is just part 1, you guys. Like, it's literally insane. Like all the stuff that I went through of like my first time like having an apartment. I won't even call it my own place, just like not living in a dorm, somewhat living on my own. It was just crazy. And so yeah, like I said, very small kitchen. Roommate A would take up a majority of the space, take up the freezer. Like she would buy like the jumbo box of carton of eggs and that would take up like a whole shelf in the fridge. And like it was like like 3 cartons of egg. Like you guys probably seen it, like if you go to Walmart, Food Line or whatever, like the jumbo box of eggs. And like that would take up so much room. And I feel like we mentioned it to her. I think we mentioned it to her because I have a vague memory of her saying that like the eggs are for everyone or whatever, and she didn't just buy them for herself. Which, yes, that is considerate of her, or kind of her, let me say. That was kind of her, but it wasn't considerate to the fact of space. So yeah, but going back to what I was originally saying, so I was in the kitchen, like finishing cooking dinner or whatever, and I didn't have pots and pans because I agreed to bring utensils, and I was just gonna like share or whatever. And if someone didn't want me to share, I didn't share. Like, you know, if someone didn't want me to use their stuff, I didn't use their stuff. You know, simply said. And so I was using this pot. In the pot, like I was like, when you use the pot, like the bottom of it would chip. And so when I would make rice, like the pot chippings would get into my rice. So I was in the kitchen, roommate B was in the kitchen, and I thought the pot belonged to roommate A, the girl who smoked weed. So I said, oh, I'm never using this pot again. It always like chips and go into my rice or whatever. And roommate B was like, oh, well, you don't have to use it then. And like, I didn't think about it in the moment. And it wasn't till afterwards, like much later on, when we were like slowly moving out and stuff, that I realized that the pot did not belong to roommate A, it belonged to roommate B. So I just disrespected her pots, like her stuff, in front of her. And I didn't mean to. Yet again, I will admit I should have not talked negatively about anybody, whether that was roommate A, B, or C, like anybody. Doesn't matter if roommate A was disrespectful to me. Shouldn't, you know, try to talk bad about her. That was on me. And I tried to talk bad about someone and I got burned. And so yeah, that was on me, and I did not mean to do that. I stuck my foot in my mouth on that one, and yeah, I deserved that. So yeah, I'm sure there was like other little things that happened, but that was the gist of it. All in all, that apartment did suck. One of the pipes did burst, and like in the laundry room, and like water sprayed everywhere. There was like a little bit of flooding, and it took the apartment complex, I want to say, a couple weeks to fix it, to the point where there was like potential mold forming. Yeah, so the apartment complex was not great all in all, but like I said, like it was just easier to stay than it was to go. Even though I really did want to go, it was just easier to stay. So at the end of that year, when the 3 of them were moving out, because originally roommate C, the one that I got along with, was supposed to stay and her friend was supposed to move in, because roommate B had moved out, so someone that she knew was supposed to move in, but then they placed her friend somewhere else. So the roommate that I got along with left. She told us that she was leaving, and roommate A, the one that smoked weed, did not want to stay there with me. She didn't say anything to anybody, but like the day that roommate C, the one that I got along with, moved out, so did roommate A. So we just figured she was leaving or switching apartments or whatever. She was just leaving that unit. Didn't really know much about it. And so I was okay with it. You know, I was like, okay, well, that works for me. Because I didn't want to leave. It was just easier for me to stay, like I said, like 10 million times. But so roommate C was in the middle of moving out, and she told me, she was like, roommate A is moving in with me. She didn't say anything, she didn't ask, she's just moving in. Like, she was like, I don't care, but I think that's weird that she didn't ask her anything and she just showed up with her stuff into the apartment that I'm going to. And I told her, I said, good luck with that. And she was like, well, we get along fine, whatever. And I was still, when she moved out, I was still in contact with her a little bit. And she told me that she was giving her friend and her a hard time because like it got worse, because she thought she could do whatever she wanted now that she wasn't living with me, because she thought that her and roommate C got along well. And they like I said, roommate C, super nice, super sweet, like they didn't really have problems with anyone. She was really cool, go with the flow. It was good. And so she thought she could do whatever she wanted, and she basically like went loose. Like, she said, roommate C said the apartment was dirty. They would ask her to like clean up for herself. Like, she didn't do it. Like, she basically like moved in to her apartment and took over. And I was like, I warned you. Like, I knew something was gonna happen. Like, I just knew. But so now I'm into the second year. So this is part 2. A different story, different person, different scenario. So I'm now into the second year of moving into this apartment, and it's more or less my apartment. Like, I mean, yes, I have roommates, or a roommate. I only had one at the time. For like half the year, I only had one. And it wasn't supposed to be like that. Like, it was supposed to be 4 people, but the apartment complex, just no one else had signed for the other 2 rooms. So it was just me and another person, which was perfect-ish. Less people, more room in the kitchen, less things to worry about. I was living life. I made sure the apartment was clean, organized. It was good-ish. So the new girl that was living with me, like I said, it was just me and her. New girl that was living with me had a dog. You guys, if you may or may not know this, I currently have a dog. At the time that she moved in, I did not get my dog until she was about to move out, like the last month until she was about to move out. And I got my dog for multiple reasons, because I stayed to myself, and you know, I just needed something to keep me company, to, you know, help me get out the house, keep me busy, whatever, you know, distract me from school, stress, all that stuff. So that's why I eventually got my little angel. So it was just me and that girl, and she moved in and she had a dog. I didn't care about the dog. I love dogs. It was a big dog though. It was a German Shepherd. And in my mind, I was like, that's an odd choice of dog to bringing into an apartment. Those dogs need room, they need a backyard, they need space. Later on, like fast forward a while, she eventually does say like that she wouldn't have gotten, you know, or she didn't say she wouldn't have gotten that dog. She said she didn't know she'd be moving into an apartment when she got the dog, or something along those lines. Like she wouldn't have, basically she said she wouldn't be normally be bringing a big dog into a small space. Like she says she's smarter than that. Okay. And I'm not saying that she's incompetent. Like I said in the beginning of this video, as a disclaimer, I'm not making this video to be rude. I'm not making this video to talk negatively about anyone or anything. Just sharing my experience. And from my experience, she did not know how to adequately take care of that dog. Or let me say that she did not make that dog her priority. She would be gone from the apartment all day, and the dog would be like, she had a really, I mean, it was a German Shepherd, so she had a crate that fit the dog, but the dog was not crate trained, or I'm not sure. I don't think it like used the bathroom in the crate, but by crate trained, I mean like the dog hated being in the crate. The dog was not comfortable being in the crate. The dog did not love being in the crate. The crate was not the dog's happy place. Let me say that. So when she was gone, the dog would cry and bark all day. Like it would like whine all day. Got very annoying. Like there was like 2 or 3 times where I would text her. I was like, hey, you want me to let your dog out? I can watch your dog for you. I can take your dog out to pee or whatever and bring it back. Like I will watch your dog. I texted her that 2 or 3 times. I think one time I did like let her dog out, let her pee. She allowed me to do that. And she didn't want her, and I think it was, she put it in the crate because she didn't want her dog roaming around in the room. So my thing was, she needed to train her dog. Or, I mean, I'm not trying to tell people how to like raise their pets, but that's what I mean, where I'm saying like she just wasn't prepared to take care of an animal. Because if you're gonna be gone all day, you're gonna have your dog locked up in a crate. Like it needs to roam free. That big of a dog needs space. Be gone all day, sometimes all night. Like I honestly barely saw her. Like when she was home, she stayed in her room, which was fine. But like I'm saying, for a majority of time, she was not there. And so if she could take her dog with her, she would. But like, her dog would just stay there. And she started taking her dog with her once I like told her like, hey, your dog, like once I started offering her like, you know, she's crying, like, you want me to take her out, like stuff like that, like giving her updates on her dog. Another thing was, she has a German Shepherd. It shed a lot. I understand. I grew up with a dog before I had my current dog that shed a lot. Like I understand that dogs shed. Like I'm not like against animals or against dogs. Let me clarify. I'm not against dogs, but she would not sweep up after her dog. So the hair would collect and collect, where there would be piles of hair, like going from the door to her bedroom. Like I said, like I was the first room in the apartment and hers was the second. Like hers was right next to me, but it didn't even like the hair would like trail from her door, from the front door to her door. But like I said, the hair would pile up because she didn't sweep. And when you would walk past or whatever, or walk like through the apartment, the hair would just float on through the apartment and would be all over the apartment. And so like I would repeatedly ask her, please clean up after your dog, please clean up after your dog. And she would be like, I did sweep up after my dog, and that was 2 weeks ago. Hair's gonna collect again. So what happened, I ended up cleaning up after her, and I tried my hardest not to. Like I would wait for as long as I could before cleaning up after her, so at least she can like to wait to see if she would at least do it herself. But like I said, I like to keep things very clean and organized, and I just couldn't stand looking at the dog hair all over the floor. Like, I needed to clean it up for my sake, at least. But yeah, so basically never cleaned up after herself. And she would rarely use the kitchen. Like, she used it maybe twice. When she didn't clean up after herself either. So yeah, it was that was the main thing, really. It's just like the cleanliness on her part, and she just didn't she didn't like ever clean up after herself.